Hello, everyone. This is Sound Booth Theater Live. I believe we are live, and I believe I'm making sound. I'm going to pay closer attention to the chat right now and make sure that if I am not audible, I will find out from you guys. No! Sorry, didn't mean to do the Jeffception on y'all, but hey, at least I know that you can hear me. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm excited to keep going with Dungeon Crawler Carl here, but hey, here's something I want to do. I want to convert the script to, well, no, I'll worry about that next time. It is in a weird format that makes it a little confusing to read, but it's not too bad. But yeah, if you guys didn't watch yesterday's stream, it is still up on our channel. If you guys didn't hear about our Christmas in July sale, we do have that going till August 1st, which, what day is that? Today's the 25th, 6, 7, 8, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. So that's next Tuesday. So we have a full week of this sale going on. 15% off everything on the platform. If you go to the website, you have to use the website to get the sale, because we can't do sales on the app, because I don't know why. Apple's just weird. Apple and Android are just weird. So if you go to the website, you pick something up, it's 15% off. If you gift it to somebody, it's 25% off. So this is definitely a spirit of giving type of sale. And that's everything. So this is actually a great opportunity if you guys have only the vaguest notion of what the Dungeon Crawler Carl audio immersion tunnel is going to be like. Check out Kaiju Battlefield Surgeon, also by Matt Dinniman, but considerably more gross and fucked up than Dungeon Crawler Carl. But that is in cinematic audio, which is what we would be calling the audio immersion tunnel if there wasn't a conflict with other people who have rights to do other things that might be considered cinematic. So yeah, go check that out, guys. We have a fun, stupid little commercial as well. Jesse Cobb says, Jeff, can I gift it to myself? If you want to go through that bullshit of starting a whole new account just so you can gift things to yourself and save an extra 10%, be my guest. I did not just confirm a DCC movie. How dare you, sir? Just a thing that might be considered cinematic. Yeah, that is a Spider-Man behind me. Okay, so it's much like a movie. Okay, so anyway, yeah, go check out our silly little commercial if you can. We did it in LA at Venice Beach when we were out recording the special guest that's going to be in Dungeon Crawler Carl 6. So all right, so I'm going to go ahead and go start another pot of tea, and then I'm ready to go with part 2 of episode 1 of the Dungeon Crawler Carl audio immersion tunnel. All right. Yes, lock me up. You did miss me explaining what the audio immersion tunnel is, but I'll say it one more time just so everyone's clear. It is basically an audio drama, a dramatization in audio of Dungeon Crawler Carl rather than just a regular audio book. So yeah, if you want to get a better idea what that's like from us, if you want to know how our productions sound, go to our website, pick up Kaiju Battlefield Surgeon, and just one more time, 15% off everything in our store right now until August 1st, which is a whole week from today, and 25% off all gifting of things to other people. So yeah, go check out Kaiju Battlefield Surgeon on our website, and you will see it'll give you an idea what to expect from the Dungeon Crawler Carl audio immersion tunnel. All right, here goes. So this is scene 3. We are now in the tutorial guild for the first time. Tutorial Guild Hall. This is a safe zone. Warning, level timers are still active. Yeah, I shouldn't have let you in. Have let you in. I shouldn't have let you in. Let me see if I can get the hand ringing a little louder. I shouldn't have let you in. I shouldn't have let you in. I'm getting a lot of noise from these headphones as well. Let me go grab a different pair. There we go. this little cable here gets stuck. Okay, here we go. I shouldn't have let you win. Let you win. I examined the rat creature. He wore a black vest and blue pants. He had a pair of well-worn sandals on his feet. Mordecai, Rat Hooligan, level 50. Guildmaster of this guild hall. This is a non-combatant NPC. Hooligans are the smartest, fastest, and ugliest of the ratkin race. While not as roided out as a rat brute or as I'm a fireball yo ass as a rat shaman, while not as roided out as a rat brute or as I'm a fireball yo ass as a rat shaman, rat hooligans offer the best of both worlds. They are physically strong and they have a decent grasp of magic. And I have some narration here, but I'm going to cut it out. Through the door, I could still hear the screech of goblin machinery just outside. I mentally clicked on the first of several information boxes cluttering my vision. Excuse me. Error. You may not access this until you have completed the tutorial. And that's going to be Justin. All the boxes disappeared, swooping away into a single folder item that started to blink. I stood in a wide room about the size of a classroom. A fireplace and bed dominated one side of the room. Several shelves dotted the walls on the left half of the room, filled with random objects and a few framed photographs of bird-like creatures. The other half of the room was nothing but a well-worn and oval-shaped gray carpet and an empty desk. A half-dozen classroom-style chairs lay scattered about. I turned back to the door. I turned back to the door. Is this the only way out of here? What? 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 The rat wasn't paying attention to me. He was focused on the cat. Yo, Morty! Is this the only exit? The cat. Yo, Morty! Is this the only exit? Yeah, it's Mordecai, kid. And yes, of course. Only exit. Yeah, it's Mordecai, kid. And yes, of course. Are those green assholes going to still be waiting for me when I get out of here? Donut jumped up on a high shelf and knocked a vase over. Ash spilled out. Donut jumped up on a high shelf and knocked a vase over. Donut jumped up on a high shelf and knocked a vase over. Ash spilled out. Mom! Here, Donut jumped up on a high shelf. Mom! Mordecai ran to the shelf, shooing the cat away. He reached up for the shelf, but he couldn't reach. Mordecai ran to the shelf, shooing the cat away. He reached up. Mordecai ran to the shelf, shooing the cat away. He reached up for the shelf, but he couldn't reach. Damn damn this body! Can you just grab that thing for me? Get him out of here! Get him out of here!
A vase over. Ash spilled out.
Mom!
Mordecai ran to the shelf, shooing the cat away. He reached up for the shelf, but he couldn't reach.
Damn this body! Can you just grab that thing for me? Get him out of here! I think I might be allergic.
I didn't think he was sneezing because of the cat, but because of the gray cloud of dust that had formed around the spilled ash. Holy shit, man. Be careful. He doesn't seem too tough, but he's level 50. That's gotta mean he's a powerful bastard. Can you help me? Are they going to wait for me or not?
Yes. No. Probably. Well, it's complicated. One might wait, but one will definitely go back to their clan and call the others. You smashed that poor goblin's head right in. Give them an hour, and the whole family will be out there. Give them an hour, and the whole family will be out there.
Across the room, Donut discovered the fireplace, which crackled merrily. The cat sat in front of it, lifted her leg, and started licking herself. Shit. Okay. Don't you dare lock this door. This door.
You're tracking my mother's ashes all over.
The goblin tractor had overshot the doorway about 10 meters and was in the middle of a wide turn, trying to come back the way it had come. The engineer had driven the tractor right into the wall. The spinning wheel sparked as the spikes shredded against the stone. The dead goblin remained smeared over the tiles. The corpse looked more like a party-sized sausage and green pepper pizza that had been run over a few times. Like a party-sized sausage and green pepper pizza that had been run over a few times.
Let's try that one more time.
The corpse looked more like a party-sized sausage and green pepper pizza that had been run over a few times.
What?
The tiles. The corpse looked more like a party-sized sausage and green pepper pizza that had been run over a few times. Both of the remaining goblins had their backs turned to me. I sprinted toward the vehicle. I sprinted toward the vehicle. Toward the vehicle. The murder dozer had a small ladder near the back. It looked as if it was made of bones tied with rope. One of the goblins would turn at any moment. I had to get them now. If one of them got away and warned the other members of its clan, or whatever, I'd be screwed. I needed this tutorial guild, so I only had one choice. The jagged bones of the ladder ripped into my bare feet. As I pulled myself up, I stifled a cry. I jumped onto the top of the metallic, whirring contraption. The jagged bones of the ladder ripped into my bare feet as I pulled myself up. I stifled a cry. I jumped onto the top of the contraption. The murder dozer screamed so loudly that neither had noticed me. The whole top of the machine was nothing but a fur-lined, recessed hole with benches running the length. Despite the fur, the ground was hot on my feet, almost burning. It smelled of scorched tar and animal musk. The machine could probably carry about 15 or so goblins, not including the driver, who had a seat up front. A dozen levers and spigots and vibrating handles extended from the floor in the cockpit area. The controls all vibrated and bounced up and down. The pan-wearing goblin sat in the seat, screaming and grunting something as he twisted and turned and pulled on levers. Smoke billowed and steam hissed from multiple pipes. The whole machine vibrated like a boiler about to blow. The smooth, rocky ceiling of this tunnel was much lower than the long, main hallway leading off the stairs. When I stood to my full height, I could reach up and touch it. Barely. It still amazed me. The idea of an entire world made up of these hallways and paths. I rushed forward and grasped onto the regular goblin, who still clutched his pineapple-less stick in his hand. Hallways and paths. I rushed forward and grasped onto the regular goblin, who still clutched his pineapple-less stick in his hand. The creature barely weighed anything, surprising me. I picked him up as he grunted in surprise. He unsuccessfully attempted to hit me with his stick. With all of my strength, I threw the goblin forward. He rocketed out of the passenger area of the dozer. I rushed forward and grasped onto the regular goblin, who still clutched his pineapple-less stick in his hand. The creature barely weighed anything, surprising me. I picked him up as he grunted in surprise. He unsuccessfully attempted to hit me with his stick. With all of my strength, I threw the goblin forward. He rocketed out of the passenger area. I picked him up as he grunted in surprise. He unsuccessfully attempted to hit me with his stick. With all of my strength, I threw the goblin forward. He rocketed out of the path. Forward. He rocketed out of the passenger area of the dozer. The screaming monster sailed directly over the head of the engineer, who was now... The screaming monster sailed directly over the head of the engineer, who was only now starting to react. The flying goblin crashed onto the tunnel wall that... The flying goblin crashed into the tunnel wall, then bounced back, landing directly onto the spinning front blades. A spray of red showered over the both of us. The final goblin snarled, and quick as a whip... pulled a small, curved blade from a sheath on his side. He jumped from his chair and rushed at me. Oh, fuck. The screaming monster sailed directly over the head of the engineer, who was only now starting to react. The flying goblin crashed into the tunnel wall, then bounced back, landing directly onto the spinning front blades. A spray of red showered over the both of us. The final goblin snarled. The final goblin...
Ugh.
At me. Rushed at me.
Ugh.
Oh, fuck. The monster moved much more quickly than I anticipated, surprising me. I had to remember this was a different class than the last two, and he was a level higher. 2 levels higher than myself. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
The monster moved much more quickly than I anticipated, surprising me. I had to remember this was a different class than the last two, and he was a level higher. 2 levels higher than myself. Fuck. The monster moved much more quickly than I anticipated, surprising me. I had to remember this was a different class than the last two, and he was a level higher. 2 levels higher than myself. This was a dumb idea. What was it that B always said? You just jump headlong into things without thinking it through. I kicked the goblin with my bare foot. With nobody at the controls, the tractor continued to whine and shred at the dungeon wall. The vibrations got worse by the moment. Soon the whole thing was bucking like a washing machine with a rock inside it. Than myself. This was a dumb idea. What was it that B always said? You just jump headlong into things without thinking it through. I kicked the goblin with my bare foot. I kicked the goblin with my bare foot. With nobody at the control, thing was bucking like a washing machine with a rock inside. You're in my world now! You need to speak my language, you weird green piece of shit! To my surprise, the goblin grinned. I could tell he understood me. The little monster switched the knife back and forth between hands. The little monster switched the knife back and forth between hands. The little monster switched the knife back and forth between hands.
You're not speaking your language. You're speaking Syndicate standard, you idiot slave. They programmed it into your brain. Do you really think you'll survive past... Do you really think you'll survive past...
The goblin never finished the sentence. As he was distracted with his own soliloquy, I leaped forward, snatched the pot off his head, and clobbered him with it. The goblin never finished. The goblin never finished the sentence. As he was distracted with his own soliloquy, I leaped forward, snatched the pot off his head, and clobbered him with it. Sharp little teeth went flying. The goblin stumbled. I smacked him again. He careened off the side of the tractor. His health bar appeared after I'd smacked him the first time, but it was still well in the green. He splattered to the ground, groaning. His knife went flying. Sharp little teeth went flying. The goblin stumbled. I smacked him again. I smacked him again. He careened off the side of the tractor. Sharp little teeth went flying. The goblin stumbled. I smacked him again. He careened off the side of the smacked him again. He careened off the side of the tractor. His health bar appeared after I'd smacked him the first time, but it was still well in the green. He splattered to the ground, groaning. But it was still well in the green. He splattered to the ground, groaning. His knife went flying. I peered over the edge. The goblin lay on his back. The tractor continued to spin and buck, but it was... The tractor continued to spin and buck, but it was edging in the opposite direction. The goblin's health was still 3/4 full, but he'd had the wind knocked out of him. The goblin started to sit up, and I threw the pot at him. To my utter astonishment, I clobbered him right in the forehead. Knife went flying. I peered over the edge. The goblin lay on his back. The tractor continued to spin and buck, but it was edging in the opposite direction. The goblin's health was still 3/4 full, but he'd had the wind knocked out of him. The goblin started to sit up, and I threw the pot at him. To my utter astonishment, I clobbered him right in the... pot at him. To my utter astonishment, I clobbered him right in... I clobbered him right in the forehead. The goblin's hands reached to grasp. The new wound. I gauged the distance. It wasn't very far, like maybe 7, 8 feet. I'd done that plenty of times as a kid. What the hell? I jumped off the murder dozer, aiming both feet toward the chest and stomach of the still recovering goblin. I jumped off the murder dozer, aiming both feet toward the chest and stomach of the still recovering goblin. I'm not sure if I mentioned this earlier, but this is important information right here. I stand 6 foot 3 inches tall. I weigh about 230 pounds. And while I wasn't in nearly as good shape as I was while I was on active duty, I'd been hitting the gym 3 times a week for years, building my muscle mass. I'd always been blessed with one of those bodies that naturally held muscle well. My dad was a linebacker. Hell, even my mom was 5'10", and her dad had played center for Oregon State before... And her dad had played center for Oregon State before becoming a prison guard. So, what I'm getting at is that I'm a large dude. I have a lot of bulk. The goblin was small, and he did not have hardly any mass at all. The effect of me jumping onto him from high above was like someone smashing a fat jellied donut with a sledgehammer. The little dude didn't have a chance. Goo spurted out of the goblin from every orifice. I'm not sure if I mentioned this earlier, and I'd always been blessed with... My dad was a linebacker, and her dad, so I have a lot of bulk. The goblin was small at all. The effect of me jumping onto him from high above was like someone... was like someone smashing a fat jellied donut with a sledgehammer. The little dude didn't have a chance. Goo spurted out of the goblin. The murder dozer started to whine even louder. I looked down at what I'd done, and I suddenly felt sick to my stomach. Orifice. The murder dozer started to whine even louder. I looked down at what I'd done,
Oh, God. I'm fucking yawning. I didn't mean to yawn.
Orifice. The murder dozer started to whine even louder. I looked down at what I'd done.
Oh, God.
And I suddenly felt sick to what I'd done.
Oh, God.
And I suddenly felt sick to my stomach. More notifications appeared on my screen. A tooltip popped up, appearing in my peripheral vision. I turned to look. Goblin murder dozer. Boiler breach imminent. A countdown timer appeared below the text. It was at 12 seconds and counting down. Son of a bitch. It's gonna blow. I turned back toward the room, a mere 30 meters down the hall. Was that too close? I didn't have time to think about it. I ran, slipping and sliding on the tiles as I booked it back to the room. I ripped open the door and jumped inside. I slammed the door and braced for impact. Appeared below the text. It was at 12 seconds and counting down.
Oh, fuck.
Son of a bitch. It's gonna blow. I turned back toward the room, a mere 30 meters down the hall. Was that too close? I didn't have time to think about it. I ran, slipping and sliding on the tiles as I booked it back to the room. I ripped open the door and jumped inside. I slammed the door and braced for impact. The world shook. The world shook. The door bucked, throwing me forward onto the floor of the guild hall. The world shook. The door bucked, My ears rang, but the door held, and I didn't seem to be otherwise injured. And I didn't seem to be otherwise injured. Donut was in the corner of the room, poofed out and hissing. Door bucked, throwing me forward onto the floor of the guild hall. My ears rang, but the door held, and I didn't seem to be otherwise injured. Donut was in the corner of the room, poofed out and hissing. Donut was in the corner of the room, poofed out and hissing.
Oh, what the bloody hell did you do, kid? That gate is capable of holding back a kinetic strike from a Star Destroyer. I'd never seen anything shake it that much. I'd never seen anything shake it that much.
That goblin bulldozer thing got stuck against the wall, and then it blew up.
A boiler breach, then. The local shaman probably enchanted it in case it ever exploded. It would have focused the energy from the blast at the closest non-goblin. You're lucky you were behind that door. A focused explosion, even a small one, has a lot more energy than you might think.
Having decided the commotion was over, Donut left the corner and returned to her spot in front of the fire. Having decided the commotion was over, Donut left the corner and returned to her spot in front of the fire. Her normally poofy exterior remained extra puffed out, and her tail swished up and down. I could tell the cat was pissed off. I could tell the cat was pissed off. Down. I could tell the cat was pissed off.
Your creature trapped in my mother's ashes. This is so not worth it. Not worth it at all. At all.
So, Mr. Training Guild, I leaned against the wall. My feet ached. My heart continued to thrash in my chest. I was covered in goblin blood. It felt as if I had raw hamburger meat stuck between my toes. I shuddered. I need to get shoes. Shoes and pants. What the hell is going on? What's with the dungeon? Is everyone really dead? How do I work this shit? What the hell is going on? What's with the dungeon? Is everyone really dead? How do I work this shit? A million other questions popped into my head. I knew he could probably snap and break me in half, but I had an overwhelming urge to grab the rat man by his stupid vest and shake him until all the answers tumbled out of him. Also, who the hell are you? Why are you here? What's really?
Okay. Slow down, kid. I know you're confused. I've been in your position. All will be explained. That's why I'm here. But before I start, I need to explain something to you two.
The rat looked over at the cat, who glared back at him.
My name is Mordecai, and I am what's called a non-combatant NPC. I'm like you. I'm a person whose world was displaced. This was many, many solars ago. I was a dungeon crawler just like you. I made it all the way down to floor 11, and I knew I would never make it any further than that. Once you descend to floor 10, you're given several options to exit the dungeon. The deeper you go, the better those options are.
Get some more tea real quick. Be right back. Excuse me. Just gonna check on the chat for a second. Hey, looks like Pinnacle's in here. I don't know if he's if they're still in here, but I saw some comments. Hello, whoever is with Pinnacle, if you're still here. I've already drank my Earl Grey for today. I'm now on the what's called Nirvana Calm Down tea, which is an herbal blend.
The better those options are.
Mordecai picked up a framed photo of one of the bird creatures. He handed it to me. Mordecai picked up a framed photo of one of the bird creatures. He handed it to me. It looked remarkably like a normal framed photo. It looked remarkably like a normal framed photo, but the material was peculiar, and the photo was cut oddly, oval-shaped with the corners lopped off.
That's what I really look like. This is a photo of my brother. I was born a skyfowl, but I became a changeling when I reached floor 3 of the dungeon. I switch form every time my guild hall is moved. When a dungeon first opens, I work in a guild such as this. Later on, after the 3rd floor collapses, my room here is transported to a much deeper level, and my form is changed again. I spend most of my time working a magic guild, which is a place one can go to pick spells and train if they've chosen a magic-based path. Though over the years I've only had a handful of people actually make it that far. Most crawlers don't make it past the 10th floor.
So, a changeling is a shapeshifter? I couldn't tell if it was a photograph or a painting or something else. The eyes of the image seemed to bore into me. It was a golden eagle-like creature. Wings, angel-like, were folded on its back.
Yes. They recreated my home for me, including all my possessions when I decided to become a guild master. I had but a few moments to grab anything I wanted before they evaporated it all. Now, every time I move to a new world, they change my shape. It's something different every time, but it's always a type of mob from the current floor of the dungeon. I don't know why.
I don't believe any of this. So you're aliens? You're all from a different world? Then how does the game or whatever know how we talk? Some of those last notifications mentioned Jean-Claude Van Damme and incels and steroids.
You're getting ahead of yourself. Each dungeon is specially built for the world it inhabits, and they spend a lot of time making sure the locals understand the game and the notifications. They go for authenticity. I'm not really supposed to tell you any of this stuff, but I figure if you're going to be stumbling around out there, you need to know what's happening.
I still don't know what's happening.
You humans are all the same. This is the 7th or 8th human-seeded world, and it's always the same. You always want to know why. Why can't you just accept your circumstances and move on? My people, the skyfowls, we generally last much longer than you humans. You know why? Because we roll with it.
Human-seeded world? Did that mean that conspiracy-spouting asshole on TV with the crazy hair was correct? That humans weren't unique, but a crop left to grow unattended until this? Until this?
Okay. I'll give you the quick version. You might as well get comfortable.
And that's the end of that scene. I miss doing this voice for Mordecai. So the lemon is infused into the honey that I have. My favorite tea is the cream Earl Grey. All right, on to scene 4.
There are 6 basic starter species the Syndicate uses to seed worlds. Humans are one of them. They find a compatible world, sprinkle the humans on there, wait a couple thousand years, and then reveal themselves to the largest settlement. They usually do this as soon as civilization starts to take hold, but long before any sort of industrial revolution. As long as there's a working government, this counts as first contact. In a legal sense, I mean, which gives them leave to wait a couple thousand additional years, come back, and strip the planet dry.
How? It all happened in a second.
Technology beyond your understanding seems like magic. So as far as you're concerned in this place, it is magic. It's like that Wizard of Oz movie, but you'll never get to peek behind the curtain.
You've seen Wizard of Oz? Oz?
Guildmasters prepare for years for each new dungeon world. Kid, I have been preparing for this longer than you have been alive. The advanced team arrived in your 1930s, I believe. Whenever that book came out, The Hobbit. The advanced team arrived in your 1930s, I believe. Whenever that book came out, The Hobbit. I left the last system and entered the prep phase in your year 1964. I know this world and your customs just as well as you do. I even once got to shapeshift into a human and go out into the world. I went to a Blockbuster Video and stole a bunch of James Bond tapes. I was so happy once you guys started digitizing everything.
How long have you been a guildmaster?
You don't even want to know. So, anyway, your planet defaulted on claiming Earth as a sovereign entity. Your planet defaulted on claiming Earth as a sovereign entity. You had 50 local years since First Contact, and First Contact was several thousand years ago. Whenever those pyramid things were built. The Borant Corporation was a huge backlog. The Borant Corporation has a huge backlog of worlds to mine, and your time is now.
So they're taking all of our minerals?
Sort of. Borant deals in rare elements and the like. What they end up mining will fit on a single transport. I don't know too much about that part of the process. The elements involved are unimportant. It's a big universe out there, and there are plenty of places to mine. That's not why they're really here. While Borant does make a profit on the mining, the real money is in the game. The dungeon.
How?
Are you kidding? The Syndicate consists of over 3 billion independent star systems. Every season, a new dungeon crawler world debuts across the net. Quintillions of citizens of the Syndicate become obsessed with the crawl.
Wait, so this is like a TV show? Like Survivor?
Obsessed with the crawl.
Wait, so this is like a TV show? Like Survivor?
Oh, I loved that show. And as far as you're concerned, yes, it's a show like Survivor.
but it's more a running man situation than a survivor one. I'm on an alien I'm on an alien television show. Holy shit. B had always wanted to be on television. B had always wanted to be on television. She'd tried out for countless reality shows. Me? I'd rather have a hot poker stuck through my eye. I briefly wondered where she was, and if she was alive. Probably not, I decided. It's been 5 a.m. in the Bahamas. It had been 5 a.m. in the Bahamas when it had happened, which meant she'd probably been asleep in her hotel. It had been 5 a.m. in the Bahamas when it had happened, which meant she'd probably been asleep in her hotel. Probably in bed with that asshole. Probably in bed with that asshole. And if by some miracle she had survived, there's no way she'd have gone into one of those tunnels. There's no way she'd have gone into one of those tunnels. So, are there people watching right now? People watching right now?
I will get to that in a moment. It doesn't look like anyone else is going to be joining us anytime soon, so let's get the tutorial started.
All right, this part, you guys, this is going to diverge a little bit here.
Mordecai opened a door to a storage closet off to the side and wheeled out a double-decker cart with an old tube TV. Mordecai opened a door to a storage closet off to the side and wheeled out a double-decker cart with an old tube TV strapped to the top. The black nylon straps securing the TV in place had the words, Living Grace Mormon Tabernacle, scrawled down their length in what looked to be whiteout. He picked up a book-sized cassette tape lying on the shelf underneath the TV and pulled it from its cardboard sleeve. Yeah, I hadn't seen one of these setups in forever. The word Betamax was etched on the side of the VCR under the TV.
Sorry, that's just such a great visual.
TV. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Yep. Video 1. Come on. Come on, play. There we go.
Static lines warped the edges of the ancient TV screen, but the image of a human with an oddly thin face materialized in the center. He wore a skin-tight formal suit reminiscent of a tuxedo, but it was purple. Instead of a bow tie, he wore a roughly pink undershirt with frills sprouting from the collar. The dude looked like he was cosplaying as Prince. As he started to speak, some squiggly-lined, odd logo thing faded in at the top right corner of the screen, somehow not warped by the stretch lines around the edges. The human's voice had a velvety tone to it, smooth like a used car salesman.
So, you found yourself in a dungeon crawl. On behalf of the Borrant Corporation, let me be the first to welcome you to your new life as a crawler. Adjust the tracking.
Let's see. Come on, play. Yeah, there we go.
Static lines warped the edges of the ancient TV screen,
adjust the tracking
but the image of a human with an oddly thin face materialized in the center.
Better.
He wore a skin-tight formal.
Welcome you to your new life as a crawler. So we are casting this we are casting this this guy, this prince guy, as someone else, but I'm not going to tell you who it is. This one is gonna be a surprise for people. We'd love to hear your predictions in the chat.
He casually strolled across the room in the film, which looked like a classroom complete with desks and chairs and even a chalkboard in the background. The camera followed him as he moved, and the sounds of wet splats accompanied his footsteps.
You're probably feeling surprised. You're probably feeling surprised, confused, and maybe even a little bit scared. Trust me when I tell you that those are all completely normal emotions, given the nifty little adventure you've gotten yourself into.
The human presenter stopped at one of the desks and put his foot up on one of the chairs. Something about the room didn't seem right. Foot up on one of the chairs. Something about the seemed right. The proportions were off somehow, almost as if the chair legs and the desks were too short. The room itself felt small and cramped too, as if the ceiling was considerably too low.
In fact, that's exactly why I'm here, to help allay your concerns and answer the countless questions running through your mind. The Borrant Corporation has created this tutorial video to help you acclimate to your new life in the dungeon, short-lived as it may be.
The guy's calm approach to the topic unnerved me, but at least I might finally get some answers. Then Mordecai reached over and hit the fast-forward button on the front of the VCR. Finally get some answers.
All right.
Then Mordecai reached over and hit the fast-forward button on the front of the VCR. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing?
We don't need to watch the whole introduction. It's not really worth your time, trust me. We can skip ahead a bit. No. That's what. No. No. How about here? No. That's not far enough. Yeah, I remember that part. Remember that. Here we go. This is the important stuff.
Mordecai stopped the tape, and the presenter, now laying atop one of the desks as if he were posing for the camera, continued to speak.
Let's get into the nitty-gritty of the game's mechanics.
Let's get into the nitty-gritty of the game's mechanics.
The screen faded to white, displaying instructions for the guildmaster to activate the trainee's crawler menu. Mordecai's right hand glowed for a moment, and I felt that haptic buzz in my brain. Across the room, Donut hissed and batted the at the air. Across the room, Donut hissed and batted at the air. You have been granted access to the crawler menu. My world blinked, and several items appeared in my vision. A long green bar, a health bar, I realized, appeared in the top right. It pushed the timer down a notch. That blinking folder remained in my top left. A small mini-map appeared in the bottom right. The video, despite its age, synced perfectly with what was happening to me, and the human began to speak again.
You've just received a crawler notification. There are a few different kinds of notifications, but only you can see your own There are a few different kinds of notifications, but only you can see your own crawler notifications. There are also system messages, which everyone sees, no matter what floor they're on, and floor-specific notifications. Those may be in different voices. We do like our variety here at Borrent. By now, you're probably noticing the blinking box in the top left corner of your screen. Those are game and status change notifications, but don't click it yet. We'll get there. First, I want you to focus on the map on the bottom right. Look right at it and make sure you're thinking about looking at it. Oops. Look right at it and make sure you're thinking about looking at it. Your guildmaster will direct you in the basics now. Lots of great guesses.
More music played, and the screen faded to white again, showing the Borrent logo and the words, "Training in Progress," underneath. Mordecai paused the video and gave me a nod. I focused on the map, and it got bigger, increasing to fill my entire vision. It was a simple blue and gray map showing the hallways and a few random doorways. Most of the area around us wasn't filled in. It only showed the area we'd walked, pushing out about 20 meters in every direction. A green dot sat in the middle, right in the guild. 2 additional dots appeared, a blue one and a white one. I focused on the blue dot, and a note appeared above it. Crawler, Princess Donut. The white dot read, Guildmaster Mordecai. The whole room glowed yellow, and when I focused on it, it read, Tutorial Guild. A trio of X's appeared outside in the hallway. I mentally clicked on one. Corpse, Level 2 Goblin. I mentally clicked away, and the whole map shrank back to normal.
Good. So you're the green dot. The blue dots will be other crawlers, white dots will be NPCs such as myself, and mobs will be red.
The explanations went on like this for a while, with him explaining how to open and close menus within my display. I could just think about it, and a whole menu system would pop up, giving me access to several folders. Once I got used to the weirdness of it being in my head, the system was quite intuitive. Mordecai played the video again, and the human, now standing at the chalkboard, continued his presentation. When he spoke, instead of writing on the chalkboard himself, words and numbers just appeared there on their own, yet somehow still written in chalk.
Now that you're familiar with your crawler interface, we can talk about the function of each of these menus. We can talk about the function of each of these menus. We can talk about what function each of these menus and we can talk about the function of each of these menus. Let's start with the most familiar one. And by that, I mean you, of course. Your first menu is your crawler statistics. For those of you who aren't familiar with computer and tabletop role-playing games, this section shows your inherent statistics. Go ahead and examine yours now.
This section wasn't too surprising. My stats were Strength 6, Intelligence 3, Constitution 5, Dexterity 5, Charisma 5.
As a crawler, you can't directly adjust these stats. Not yet, anyway. But you'll receive 3 stat points every time you level up, and when you pick a race and class on the 3rd floor, you'll be free to distribute them however you like.
The chalkboard showed a set of sample stats in one column next to a chalk image of a generic male crawler. The figure was drawn cartoon style, but as before, the presenter wasn't physically making any of this happen as he talked. The chalkboard seemed to do it on its own. Then the image of the crawler changed to a generic female crawler, and the stat spread changed along with it. It changed again, this time to a much bigger male crawler with ridiculously bulging muscles. His stats showed a heightened strength stat at 7, which the chalkboard automatically circled on its own. The next shift showed a woman drawn with enormous breasts, a huge butt, and a waist so disproportionately small that it made old-school Barbie dolls look reasonable by comparison. The chalkboard circled her charisma stat, which at 6 was the highest.
These initial numbers will go up and down on their own based on your inherent real-life physical and mental attributes. The typical adult human averages between 3 and 5 for each of these stats. You can find items and potions. You can find items and potions in the dungeon that will either temporarily or permanently adjust these numbers, but for now, it's best to learn to use what you've got like the rest of us in the galaxy. If the average range was between 3 and 5 for these stats, my 6 in strength was good. I motioned for Mordecai. No.
If the average range was between 3 and 5, for these stats, my 6 in strength was good. I motioned for Mordecai to pause the tape, and he did. Why do we have to wait until we go down to the 3rd floor before we get to pick a class?
It takes a lot of energy to run this whole operation. I think they figure if you manage to make it to the 3rd floor, you're worth the investment to transfigure. Class is easy, but changing your race takes some doing. You're being fundamentally changed at the cellular level. That's a lot of effort for someone who's just going to get eaten by a fly trap on the 1st floor.
What? What's a mistake? Is she still a pet at this point? I thought she actually got achievements and stuff already.
First floor. I can change into a different type of creature. If this was a computer game, I'd do it in a second. I never played humans in games if I could help it. But permanently changing myself into something different? The thought made me ill. It was something I'd have to think about and deal with when I got there. I grumbled a bit about that 3 in intelligence. Yeah, I never did too great in math, but I never considered myself a slobbering idiot either. I could fix most anything electrical after studying it for a bit. My friend Billy Maloney. Now that guy was an idiot. Just last week, we'd come out of a bar, and he'd peed right on a cop's bicycle while the cop was giving someone else a ticket for drunk and disorderly. That guy deserved an intelligence of 3. Maybe 2. Billy is dead. He was still in jail. He had had a warrant for failure to appear, so they'd taken him in. He's dead like everyone else in the world. I pushed it away. After I complained about my intelligence score to Mordecai, using the Billy example, he said, Intelligence told you that bike belonged to a police officer. Wisdom told you not to urinate upon it. We all have a wisdom stat, but it doesn't appear on that list. It used to, but they discovered changing one's wisdom greatly changed their personality, so it's no longer adjustable. I do not know what this Billy's intelligence is, but I guarantee his wisdom is not a 5. Worry not about an intelligence of 3 unless you're seeking a magic blade. Worry not about an intelligence of 3 unless you're seeking a magic-based class. Your best bet is something that focuses on strength. Mordecai started the tape again. And the chalkboard shifted to a different set of words and numbers.
This next menu is the single most important menu in the entire game. Your life depends on these numbers. Literally. Go ahead and select your ratings menu now.
Ratings. Views, 0. Followers, 0. Favorites, 0. Patrons, 0. Strength, 3. Constitution, 5.
The first level of the dungeon isn't accessible to live viewers, so these stats won't move until you descended to the second floor. So these stats won't move until you descended to the second floor. However, the Borant Corporation will periodically release edited highlights reels. If you're snazzy enough to make the show's premiere or during any of the regular update episodes, you'll be well on your way to crawler superstardom. Featured crawlers always gain billions of views and millions of followers right out the gate. But don't get your hopes up, crawler. Given the number of people who've entered the dungeon, the chances that you'll be featured are even smaller than your chances of survival. So if you want to see tomorrow, you'll have to do more than just fight. You'll need to cultivate chutzpah. You'll need to find the it factor inside of you. You'll need to stand out to make viewers take notice. Don't just kill that shambling acid impaler and walk away. Kill it with excitement. Kill it with style.
This time, I stood up and paused the tape myself. I turned to Mordecai. Excuse me. A shambling What?
A shambling acid impaler. The second floor will be lousy with them. They trounce about on four legs, are green, hairy, spit darts at you that melt your skin. Spit darts at you that melt your skin off. Awful creatures.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, kid, pay attention. The monsters aren't important. Well, they are, but this part, especially, is more important. During my crawl, I managed to accumulate almost 30 million followers and 4 patrons. That's the only way I survived.
Okay. Keep going.
Upon the launch of the second floor, watchers from across the universe gain the ability to tune in to any crawler they wish. Meanwhile, the Borant Corporation will continue to air highlights, so the longer you survive, the better your chances at getting featured.
The chalkboard shifted to a large circle filled with countless smaller circles. Each of them roamed about freely, reminiscent of ants in a hive. Then several of them disappeared, replaced by an X marked with red chalk. This process repeated several times, with the circle narrowing across several levels until only a handful of circles remained. The word "you," with an arrow pointing to one of the circles, hovered over the few survivors. The sight of it made me sick.
Anytime someone watches your feed for about 8 seconds, it counts as a view. This stat neither helps nor hurts you, but it's a good indicator of how interesting you are to our viewers. Obtaining patrons is crucial to your survival. The dungeon contains plenty of great loot that'll help you survive, but the best gear comes from benefactors, patrons. The calculus is simple. Views lead to followers. If you're being followed, it means the viewer has bookmarked your crawler ID and can look in on you whenever they want.
The chalkboard visuals shifted and changed with each new explanation given, but the circle included the few remaining crawler circles remaining off to the side. But the circle including the few remaining crawler circles remained off to the side.
More followers leads to more favorites. If you're favorited, that's a good thing. It means viewers are getting live updates on your stats and condition. They even get notifications if you're fighting. If someone has favorited you, they really want to know how you're doing. Viewers only get a certain number of favorites, so consider it an honor. But ultimately, it's all about the patrons. Lots of favorites will always lead to patrons.
An image of a faceless patron formed from the chalk. It extended its hands, and a box appeared in them. Then the box lifted off its hands and floated across the chalkboard, sprouted a tiny parachute, and drifted down into the circle of the dungeon populated by the surviving crawlers.
Patrons are usually organisations, not individuals. They'll see someone has a lot of favourites, and they'll sponsor you by purchasing boxes for you. There are dozens of types of boxes, and each type of box has quick quality tiers.
The patron cartoon disappeared, and the chalkboard listed each type while the human presenter pointed to them.
Bronze, then silver, then gold, then platinum, then legendary, then celestial.
I paused the video again. Yeah. You wouldn't let me open my boxes yet. Can I do it now?
Hold up, kid. We have a process here. We'll get there in a minute. Most patrons can only afford, or are willing to, send you silver or gold boxes. gold boxes. To send you silver or gold boxes. Those contain the rarest items, so even a bronze benefactor box is better than a plain gold adventurer box. A benefactor box may contain items from the patron's home world. You will never find a pulse rifle or automated power armor in any sort of box in the world dungeon, but it's possible to get one from a patron. Does that make sense? In the world dungeon, but it's possible. To get one from a patron. Does that make sense?
None of this shit makes sense. But yes, I understand what you're saying. I'm on an intergalactic game show, and I have to be an obnoxious show-off. I'm on an intergalactic game show, and I have to be an obnoxious show-off in order to get eyes on me. And once I do have eyes on me, I might get a loot box with toilet paper in it. Does that about sum it up?
Yes. But toilet paper is complimentary. Restrooms are liberally populated throughout the map. It's the only place the viewer cameras can't follow you.
Sum it up.
Yes. But toilet paper cameras can't follow you.
Are you serious?
Cameras can't follow you.
Are you serious?
Oh, I'm serious. The last dungeon Borant managed didn't have rest areas, and the crawlers were pissing and crapping all over the place. Crawlers lose viewers when they're shitting in the middle of a hallway. It's gross.
And what does Borant get out of this?
In addition to the mining income we already discussed, the Borant Corporation receives... In addition to the mining income we already discussed, the Borant Corporation receives advertising dollars, a stipend from the Syndicate government, and a commission on every credit spent by patrons. Also, it should be noted that every time a crawler mentions the name of either the interstellar government or the organization sponsoring the current crawl, the system AI will record the interaction for review. If it is found a crawler is disparaging either of these two entities, especially while on camera with live viewers, the crawler's experience may be accelerated. Especially while...
Got it. I had no doubt that accelerated meant nothing good. Mordecai hit play on the VCR again, and the chalkboard continued to adjust based on what the presenter was saying.
While your overall health will display as a single green bar, your health menu populates as an extensive pie chart. Healing in the dungeon is accelerated for your benefit, and the rate is based on your constitution stat. But don't count on it being fast enough to save you from everything. We want you, and more importantly, our viewers, to enjoy your crawl. But remember, if you die in the dungeon, that's it. That's the end. Game over, my friend. Game over, my friend.
While the guy talked, I reviewed my health info. I had recently been cured of several issues I didn't even know I had, like abrasions at the bottom of my feet and on my hands, frostbite, and the start of an infection from when Donut had bit me. After that came my skills menu. This section just went on and on and on. There seemed to be an infinite number of pages. If I didn't have the skill, I couldn't read what it said. It was still listed there, but the words were blurred out. Literally hundreds of pages would scroll by before I saw anything. Mordecai paused the video and had me change the view to skills I did have, and and that list was just as long. I had things like breathing, 3, walking, 4, operating a Sony brand RMVL Z620 operating a Sony brand RMVL Z620 universal remote control, 1. The list just never ended. He had me uncheck a box, and most of those skills disappeared. What was left was still several pages long. Then another check, and anything with a skill of 1 or 2 disappeared. What was left was things like unarmed combat, 3, basic electrical repair, 6, swimming, 4. Nothing was over 5 other than electrical Nothing was over 5 other than electrical repair. Most everything was a 3. Most everything was a 3.
This is a good start. I'm impressed, kid. You're proficient with several earth weapons, all firearms. But since you didn't bring any, you'll want to train with some of the dungeon-based weapons. We'll see if you have anything good in any of the boxes when we get to it. We'll see if you get anything good in any of the boxes once we get to it.
Next was the magic menu, which was complicated as shit.
More tea. Yeah, we didn't change anything about Donut's crawler status. I mean, she gets a crawler ID as soon as she enters.
Complicated as shit. It was also one of the most surreal parts of this adventure so far. I was given a simple healing spell and a pool of mana points which appeared in my top right underneath the health bar. Because my intelligence was only 3, I only had 3 magic points. Because my intelligence was only 3, I only had 3 magic points. The healing spell cost 2. Magic points naturally refilled about 1 every hour. I had a hot list of 10 spaces along the bottom of my screen, and there I could add potions or spells or other special items. Mordecai had me place the healing spell in spot number 1. I could mentally click it to cast it. The spell was only a level 1 basic healing spell, and it would heal. The spell was only a level 1 basic healing spell, and it would heal about 20% of my health. He made me try it, even though my health was already at the top. I cast the spell, and my whole body glowed red. My magic bar went down by 2/3. My magic bar went down by 2/3, and nothing else happened. My magic fell, and my whole body glowed red. My magic bar went down by 2/3, and nothing else happened.
If you were injured or sick, you'd feel much better after that.
We continued to watch the training video, but a voice boomed, interrupting the tutorial and stopping it from playing automatically.
All right, so this is Cascadia, if you guys don't remember her name. And we're recasting her to Lori Catherine Winkle. Yeah. Whew. A little sleepy yawn there, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, so hello, crawlers. The dungeon is now sealed. We have a diverse... Hello, crawlers. The dungeon is now sealed. We have a diverse group joining us this season, and we are very happy to have you here. We had just under 13 million human crawlers make it through the gates and into the dungeon. We are already down to under 10 million. A quick note, the entrances to the second floor will not open up until the introductory episode of Dungeon Crawler World Tunnels, which will be in approximately 30 of your hours. Once that happens, the stairwells to the second level will populate. There will be no lag time for the appearance of additional levels. On behalf of the Born Corporation, I wanted to thank you for volunteering, and I wish you all good luck and a happy crawl. 10 million people. It was more than I expected, but still, 3 million additional people dead in a matter of minutes. Nope. Sorry, that's Carl. 10. A happy crawl.
10 million people. It was more than I expected. But still, 3 million additional people dead in a matter of minutes. The number was so huge, it lost meaning. How hard is it to find the staircases?
It can be tricky. It's not too difficult for the first few levels. Starting on the 4th floor, each level will have a random theme and will encompass significantly less area. Entrances will stop populating in random places. They'll be guarded. You'll have to complete quests or defeat bosses to get to them. I had barely made it to floor 11, and when I saw what guarded the entrances to level 12, I knew it wouldn't be worth it.
What was it?
It doesn't matter. It'll be different here. It's different every time.
From there, we resumed the tutorial. The presenter directed me to the party menu, and his chalkboard displayed a group of animated crawlers encircling another one.
You know the old saying about teamwork, right? The stronger your team, the easier it is for them to betray you.
The animated circle of crawlers brandished a variety of weapons and proceeded to beat, stab, and shoot the crawler in the center, Julius Caesar style. That wasn't the saying or the mentality I'd been expecting, but given everything else in this fucked up place, I wasn't surprised.
Well, I suppose my best advice is don't be the annoying guy in your party, and maybe you'll make it out all right. However, if you do decide to form a team, you'll stand a better chance against the various mobs and bosses inside the dungeon, statistically speaking, of course. If you happen to enter the dungeon accompanied by a group of people, you will see they have already been added to your party in this menu. All party members will share experience gained from various quests and battles inside the dungeon. Your party shares access to a group chat feature, which is a fantastic tool for strategizing and communicating apart from the prying eyes of anyone not in your group. I'm doing my best to not retake things that aren't my lines. But it's just it's a reflex, it's a habit. Yeah, I'm just setting the blueprint there. Matt pretty much just he wrote the very beginning, and he rewrote the very beginning, and then basically he's just been approving changes from me and Ben. So anyone not in your group.
Apparently, anyone who entered the dungeon at the same time as anyone else was automatically grouped together, and as a result, I had a party of 2, me and Donut. The cat continued to lounge in front of the fire. It appeared she'd fallen asleep. I paused the video again, thankful for the break. The human's casual laughter while explaining all of this was really starting to bother me. So, my cat. The system has given her a crawler name and designator. Does that mean she's getting all these special achievements and loot boxes too?
Yes, any biological creature above a certain weight who enters the dungeon is assigned a crawler ID. But one needs at least an intelligence of 2 to qualify for training, and if you can't do training, your inventory doesn't get turned on, which allows you to access your boxes. Otherwise, they're designated as pets. All the other ones, like wild animals who happen to make it inside, very rarely make it past the first floor.
Right, so it's under a certain weight and intelligence, I think? Yeah, intelligence of 2 or better. So that's why goats did not make it as crawlers.
Yes, any biological creature. All the other ones, like wild animals who happen to make it inside, very rarely make it past the first floor. Past the first floor.
2 intelligence away. 1 intelligence is a pet. He has 3.
Mordecai moved to play the video again, but I stopped him. Now that we'd put about 20 minutes between my earlier mention of Borant, I wanted to continue our previous conversation. Before we do that, I have a couple questions about the people running the show.
What is it?
Are they always listening?
Listening? Yes. Paying attention? Not necessarily. They expect a certain amount of, gnashing of teeth amongst the crawlers, and we NPCs are required to say the name of the organizers multiple times during the training, so we're mostly ignored. Mostly. You really need to be careful once you start collecting followers. They know they're sadistic assholes, but they don't want you saying it on camera. They take their image quite seriously.
You said you've been here for decades. Does this show really only air once every 90 years or so?
No, not at all. Different corporations run each season, which appear about every 2.25 of 4... No, not at all. Different corporations run each season, which appear about every 2.25 of your years. My employer usually has about 5 forward teams working at any given time, and they get chosen to run a season about 1 in 15.
So, with different corporations running each season and different worlds, crawling, then is every season vastly different?
Oh, yes. The Squim conglomerate chooses a different game completely. For example, it's a battle royale style fight. An entire world, and it all comes down to one champion. It's good for ratings, but it doesn't make them much money from what I understand. My company is known for making the most elaborate, most entertaining dungeons.
Wonderful. And you? Are you stuck here for the rest of your life?
No.
Mordecai smiled sadly. He looked down at the framed picture of the eagle creature I had placed on the floor.
This is my last tour. Once this nightmare is over, I become a full citizen. I receive a moderate stipend, and I'm free to make my way into the universe.
Will you go back to your home planet?
No. It's not open to me.
What about the people who didn't go into the dungeon on your world?
We really need to get back to the tutorial.
Okay. But what if someone won the dungeon, made it past level 18? The message said if that happens, they gain control of the world. Maybe your world is under control of one of your people.
Remember how I said I made it down to the 11th floor?
Yeah?
A handful of crawlers over the centuries have made it that far. One once made it down to 13. One. He died within a half hour of hitting the floor. He was a human, like you, but from another human world. That's the deepest anyone has ever delved, kid. Level 13.
All right, so that's another scene.
Mordecai played the rest of the video for me, which showed the human presenter leaving the chalkboard behind and approaching his starting point in the classroom.
There's so much more to learn, experience, and avoid while you're on your crawl. We can't possibly cover it all here. To do so would be as big a task as surviving the dungeon itself. Well, almost.
I glared at the glass screen, wishing I could smash his stupid narrow face in.
Whether the journey ahead of you is long or short, I can promise you one thing. It's sure to be exciting. From all of us here at the Borant Corporation, we sincerely wish you good luck as you begin your crawl. And remember, we're always watching. Always.
The training video's outro music began to play. The lights in the classroom shut off abruptly, plunging everything into the darkness. And the Borant logo in the corner expanded downward to fill the black screen.
I get rid of the music line.
The lights in the classroom shut off abruptly. On the video, the lights in the classroom shut off abruptly, plunging everything into the darkness. And the board looked.
Just gonna redo it.
On the video, the lights in the classroom shut off abruptly, plunging everything into darkness, and the Bornt logo in the corner expanded downward to fill the black screen. Assholes.
I've just activated your inventory. This season, Bornt is trying something a little different.
Different good or different bad? The only thing listed was a handful of loot boxes with ready to open next to them.
Last season, it was a slot-based system. It allowed one to carry multiple items, but it was limited in capacity. But it was limited in capacity and had standard weight limits. This season, each crawler is given a dimensional inventory and AI cataloging system.
What does that mean?
It's a good thing. Basically unlimited storage. And if you can physically lift it off the ground by yourself for about 4 seconds, you can put it in your space, no matter how big it is. The only rule is you can't store living creatures. They will immediately die. Also, the storage is time-locked, so food doesn't go bad. That's a big one. We had an issue last season with crawlers We had an issue last season with crawlers starving to death, watching thousands of lethargic, unmoving players as they waited the timer to run out. Yeah, it was no good. So Borant fixed it. Disease and starvation doesn't make for compelling drama.
He produced a single glass bottle. It was small, like a third the size of a Coke bottle. It was red with a cork in it.
Pick it up and place it in your inventory. A gift from me to you.
Standard healing potion. Increases your health by at least 50%. Doesn't cure poison or other sleep. Doesn't cure poison or other sleeps. Doesn't cure poison or other health-seeping conditions such as succubus-inflicted gonorrhea. So remember to wrap it up, bucko.
An Add Item to Inventory button appeared. I clicked it, and the potion vanished. It appeared in my inventory list, which now had both a potions and healing submenu. I mentally clicked on it, and the potion reappeared in my hand.
Good, good. If you add the potion to your hot list, you'll drink it without having to actually drink it. Remember this. Because some of these potions taste like shit. If you straight pull it from the normal inventory, you'll have to pop the cork and swallow. Potions and other like items stack up to $999 a slot, so it's best to stick them in your hot list. And that's pretty much it. There are a few other quirks regarding inventory, but you'll figure them out along the way.
I put the potion back, and then added it to the hot list next to my healing spell.
Okay, let's take a look at your current notification. Holy tits!
What?
You have a legendary pet box. Why didn't you say so?
I just looked at him. The urge to punch him in the face returned.
Legendary right when he walks in. Okay. Yes, you do have a lot of boxes. Okay, now that inventory is active, you can pop up your missed notifications. Let's take a look.
All right. I'm going to play the music underneath while I narrate again, just for fun.
Notifications. Let's take a look. Story is active. You can pop up your missed notifications. Let's take a look.
New achievement! You've inflicted damage on a mob. Hopefully it won't hit back. Reward? It's probably going to hit back. New achievement! You've killed a mob. You're a murderer. He probably had a family. Reward? You can now gain experience. Get enough of it and you might even go up a level. New achievement! You've killed an armed mob with your bare fucking hands. Holy crap, dude! That's kind of fucked up! Reward? You've received a bronze weapon box. New achievement! You've killed a mob at a higher level than yourself. You're getting the hang of this. Don't let it get to your head. Hold on a second. Bronze weapon box. New achievement! You've killed a mob at a higher level than yourself. You're getting the hang. You've killed a mob. You've killed a mob a higher level than yourself. You're getting the hang of this. Don't let it get to your head. Reward? You've received a bronze adventurer box. New achievement! You've entered a guild hall. Congratulations, you know how to open doors. Reward? That sense of fulfillment you feel? That's reward enough. New achievement. Podophilia. You've used your bare feet to crush and kill an opponent. That's my fetish.
Seriously, keep doing it. And you'll be rewarded. This will help. Reward? You've received a gold shoebox.
New achievement! Boom! You've caused a wall-shaking explosion within the dungeon. The last time the walls shook like this was when your mom came home over. You've caused a wall-shaking explosion within the dungeon. The last time the walls shook like this was when your mom came over for a visit. Reward? You've received a silver goblin box. New achievement! Level up, baby! You've received enough experience to gain a level. Reward? Leveling up is your job. You don't get rewards for doing your job. Reward? Reward? Leveling up is your job. You don't get rewards for doing your job. You've gained a skill level. Pugilism, level 4. The art of beating the shit out of your opponents with closed fists. Each level of this skill increases your bare knuckle damage by 25%. Level up! You are now level 2. 3 stat points gained. Yeah. Let's see. Level up, baby! You've received a... So it'd be like, baby! You've received enough experience. Shook like this was when your mom came over for a visit. Reward? You've received a silver... it still needs a little bit more. Shaking explosion within the dungeon. Let's go right here. Within the dungeon. The last time the walls shook like this was when your mom came over for a visit. Reward? You've received a silver goblin box. New achievement! Level up, baby! You've received enough experience to gain a level. Reward? Leveling up is your job. You don't get rewards for doing your job. You've gained a skill level. Pugilism, level 4. The art of beating the shit out of your opponents with closed fists. Each level of this skill increases your bare knuckle damage by 25%. Level up! You are now level 2. 3 stat points gained. I just love the ending. Anyway, that's basically what it's going to be like. But this is only going to happen, so that music is only going to happen when there's lots of achievements that are gonna play. So stat points gained.
Several other skill-based notifications flashed and disappeared before I could read them, likely thanks to my tinkering with the menu earlier. My inventory glowed. Several additional loot boxes now appeared on my list. You may only open boxes in safe areas. All guild halls are safe areas, but not all safe areas are guild halls. Will they be hard to find? The safe areas, I mean. The safe rooms will always appear on your map, even if they're within the fog of war. Fog of war? If you haven't visited an area, it won't show the specifics of the hallways, even if it's in the range of your minimap. The fog of war covers places you haven't yet visited. The safe rooms will have restrooms, sleeping cubicles, and some will even have food and fountains with healing potions. Getting to them might be hard, but you'll always know where they are if you get close enough. Is there a time limit? Is there a time limit for staying in one?
I need to get my thingy charting again. Oh shit. Why is this happening? There we go.
Is there a time limit for staying in one?
Nope. But don't forget the level itself is going to collapse in on...
One?
Nope. But don't forget, the level itself is going to collapse in on your head after a certain amount of time. The only way to survive is to keep moving deeper.
Okay. Hopefully there are some pants in one of these things. Let's start cracking them open.
Okay, you have 10 loot boxes. That's a lot, but not a crazy amount. Usually people come into the tutorial with 2 or 3. You can hoard them, but when you do decide to open them, you can't pick and choose which ones to open. It's an all-or-nothing thing. There's no real tactical reason to hold on to them, and there's no real tactical reason to hold on to them since you can't sell or transfer unopened boxes. Also, it's important to note that while it's possible to receive unstable or damaged loot, you'll never receive outright cursed loot in a box. But that doesn't mean everything is safe to try on. Always read the descriptions before you activate or wear something. Always, always, no exceptions. Okay, here we go. Let's go and open them by tier.
The 10 boxes all popped out of my inventory and appeared floating in front of me single file. The first few boxes were about half the size of a military footlocker. Each box had a label floating over it. The first to appear was bronze-colored and had a strange, hedgehog-like animal stenciled on the top.
Bronze pet box. 1 out of 10. The top
popped open on its own. The box disappeared in a puff of smoke, and a single rolled-up piece of paper and a small pile of what looked like dry cat food appeared on the floor.
Scroll of Heal Critter. Pet biscuit ×10.
The items disappeared and entered my inventory.
Bronze Adventurer Box, 2 out of 10. Potion of Healing, ×2. Common Fingerless Gloves. Bronze Weapon Box, 3 out of 10. Toad Cudgel. The toad cudgel was a stick. It looked like a 3/4 length baseball bat shaped by someone who only had a vague idea of what baseball was. Bronze Weapon Box, 4 out of 10. Poker. This wasn't much better. It was literally a fireplace poker, a wrought iron stick with a screw-on point at the end. Bronze Adventurer Box, 5 out of 10. Potion of Healing. Potion of Mana. These next two boxes were slightly larger and made of silver. Silver Adventurer Box, 6 out of 10. Poison Antidote, ×2. Crawler Biscuit, ×100. Torch, ×20. This next silver box looked distinctively different than the last, like the Goblin Murder Dozer. It appeared hobbled together with random hunks of silver-colored metal. A goblin skull was etched onto the lid. Oh, shit. I bonked my damn camera. Sorry about that, guys. Weird hat? Oh, that's not a hat. That's just soundproofing stuffed into a hole. Goblin's skull was etched onto the lid. Silver Goblin Box, 7 out of 10. Dynamite ×5. Lighter. Goblin Pass. The Goblin Pass took the form of the same goblin-shaped skull from the top of the box. The symbol appeared floating in the air instead of adding itself to my inventory. It flew and smacked up against my left inner forearm. I was still wearing my leather jacket, but I could feel it. I was still wearing my leather jacket, but I could feel it burning against my skin, like I was being branded. The brand also appeared on the exterior of the jacket. The pain quickly abated, and my jacket was otherwise undamaged. My left inner forearm. I was still wearing my leather jacket, but I could feel it burning a shaped skull from the top of the box. The symbol appeared floating in the air. Instead of adding itself to my inventory, it flew and smacked up against my left inner forearm. What? I was still wearing my leather jacket, but I could feel it burning against my skin, like I was being branded. The brand also appeared on the exterior of the jacket. The pain quickly abated, and my jacket. It was time for the good stuff. These next two boxes were bigger yet, and glowed with a golden light. Gold Apparel Box, 8 out of 10. Enchanted Nightgaunt Cloak of Stoutness. Enchanted Trollskin Shirt of Pummeling. Gold Shoebox, 9 out of 10. Enchanted Toe Ring of the Splatter Skunk. A toe ring? A goddamned toe ring? I needed shoes, damn it! Not a toe ring! I needed shoes, damn it! Not a toe ring. I was so irritated by this prize, I almost missed the opening of the final box. What time is it? Okay, still got a good time. The legendary pet box had the same symbol etched on it as the bronze pet box, but this thing was 3 times the size. It was made of
It was made of alternating, intricately carved silver and gold patterns.
Okay, and here's one. Here's some more music. Let's see. Let me find it. Where did it go? Here it is. Legendary Pet Box. 10 out of 10. Pet Biscuit times 500. Enhanced Pet Biscuit. That's it? The final prizes. Sorry, a little too loud. The final. The final prizes poofed back into my inventory. What the hell is an enhanced pet biscuit?
Yeah, kid. You'll want to give your cat that biscuit right now while you're still in the guild.
What does it do?
This actually needs to be in scene as well. It needs to be still, it's still very loud.
What does it do? What does it do? It looked like a cat treat. It was small, smaller than my fingernail, brown, hard, and round with a crumbly texture. I doubted I'd be able to get Donut to eat it. While the cat was always shoving her face with food, Bee insisted on giving her the wet stuff, even though it got all over her face. Donut turned her nose up at most everything else. Enhanced Pet Biscuit. So, it looks like a regular pet biscuit. It's not. Feed to your pet at your own risk. What's the worst that can happen? What does it do?
The effects vary. Regular biscuits feed pet-based classes for a full day. The pets find them delicious. They smelled them, and they'll just gobble them up. They They smell them, and they'll just gobble them up. So make sure you only pull one out at a time. Enhanced treats have over 100 different possible effects. Half of them are good. The rest are neutral or decidedly bad. But if there's a bad outcome, your pet won't attack you if you feed them the treat while you're in a safe zone. Your pet will be teleported outside to a random place within a square mile of here. If you feed it to her while you're out on crawl, and she transforms into a toothed flesh butcher, you're pretty much fucked. You're pretty much fucked. So you should definitely do it now. Either that or save it to sell later. It's worth a couple thousand gold.
Shit. I'd been avoiding thinking about this until now. But what could I do? Donut was a damn cat. It wasn't like she was a mastiff or anything, some sort of pet I could use as protection. Even if I could get her to follow me in the first place, she'd be... Even if I could get her to follow me in the first place, she'd be more a liability than anything. I felt an obligation to her. I was all she had left in the world. It wasn't logical, I knew. But if I could sell this tiny little treat for a lot of money, I could buy some really useful items, like shoes and pants. I rolled the cat treat in my fingers. As awful as it was, it would be best to...
Ow!
Donut leaped up and ate the treat right from my hand. The moment the cat hit the ground, she was transformed into a tiny... The moment the cat hit the ground, she was transformed into a wet mess of flesh. She splattered like a hunk of hairy, jellied water. She splattered like a hunk of hairy, jellied water. She splattered like a hunk of hairy, jellied water.
Donut, what the hell happened to my cat?
Waiting. Text appeared over the quivering, shaggy mass. Mordecai poked at the blob with his foot. It wiggled.
Transformation. Your creature is being changed somehow. It didn't teleport away, so it's not considered a negative result. Looks like we'll have to wait. I've seen this before a few times. It won't be long. Maybe 5 to 10 minutes.
And that's the end of that scene. How much time do we have? It's 2:30. It's 2:30 and I have not eaten lunch or anything, so I need to go eat. God damn, dude, we only got through 3 scenes today. So doing these episodes, it's taking longer. But also this is going to be probably the longest episode out of the entire season. So it'd surprise me if it took me more than 2 days per episode from now on. But yeah, this will have to be the end for today. Thank you guys again for coming and hanging out. But there's more. There's definitely more in this episode. Let's see, scene 6. Man, we still have like 50 pages worth of script. So one more narration tomorrow. One more stream tomorrow. So watch for notifications here on Discord. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you get updated when I go live. Go to our Facebook group, whatever, you'll find it. Also, don't forget we have our Christmas in July sale going on. That's 15% off everything in our store if you're purchasing it for yourself. And this is on the website only. If you are gifting people our audiobooks, it's 25% off. So now's your chance to hook up anyone that you've thought is would like our stuff but just hasn't tried it yet. And there's so many things that just came out just last week, I believe it was Monster Hunt NYC 3. So that entire trilogy is now finished and available on our site. There's also the Legends of Arenia. There's Vampire Queen 1 and 2. So 3 different audiobook series that have come out just this month. And all of them are 15% off for yourself, 25% off for everyone else. So I'd really appreciate it if you gifted some of your loved ones with our work and see if they enjoy it. Anyway, that's all. Go check out the commercial that we did if you want to have some fun. It's me as Santa Claus hanging out at Venice Beach. Yeah, that's it. I hope to see you guys tomorrow, same time, noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, we should be wrapping up the rest of the episode at that point. All right, guys, you have a good one and see you tomorrow.